Bill Gates once said, "Your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning." I worked at a coffee shop for 2 years and I learned a lot about patience. Um, the three worst customers that I've ever had, I think one was the medium mocha with coffee guy. The second is uh, the polar cap guy, and the last is the bagel lady. And these all taught me something. Each experience taught me something. The first one is the medium mocha with coffee guy. He taught me a lot about being patient with customers. He was actually a regular customer. He would come in every single day and order the same exact drink. And the first time that I encountered him, I had only been working there for 2 weeks. I was still training, and he comes in and he demands his regular drink, which I had never seen this man before. I don't know who he is, never heard his drink before. And so he came up to the register, demanded his drink, and I was like, "Oh, sorry, sir. I've never seen you. I'm new here." And he said, "Well, you don't know, so just ask somebody." Like, he couldn't simply give me his order so that we can make his drink. He taught me how to be patient, and he also taught me that it's important to memorize people's drinks, especially if they're difficult to be around, because you kind of so that the line can move a lot faster, and also so the person won't be unhappy, and for myself not to be unhappy, so I won't have to be uncomfortable. The second person, I call him the polar cap guy, and he would come in every weekend and he would order the same drink, which is a polar cap. Essentially, a polar cap is a coffee slushy, and we would put the liquid coffee into the machine, and then it would become icy. So he would come in every weekend and he would order the same thing. He would always send his drink back. I kid you not, once he sent it back 4 times. The same exact drink. He did not like it and he kept sending it back. And eventually I recognized his face because I just thought he was so rude that I recognized him, and eventually I would just tell him to wait if we had just put fresh coffee in there so that he wouldn't return his drink. And that taught me a lot about patience, because eventually after I started doing that and started letting him taste the coffee first, he really became a lot nicer and easier to work with. And that taught me a lot about being patient as well, because sometimes I think that my other coworkers would get frustrated with him and they would treat him badly. So I think that's why he would be kind of rude at first, but we actually became cool. I never got his name, but he was actually really nice to me after that. And the last one is the bagel lady, which I think is the most traumatizing experience I've had working at the coffee shop, because I had just gotten to work. There was nobody in line. It was just me and my boss working, and she was in the back making a sandwich. And I asked her, "Do you need help taking anything out so that you could hurry up?" And she said, yes, please take this bagel out. And so I called out this bagel, which was, the tag said, plain bagel with tomatoes. And I called it out, and there was only one lady there waiting, and she kind of looked at me kind of blankly, and she was like, oh, I don't know if that's mine. And I said, oh, did you order a plain bagel? She said, yes. And so she opened it and she said, but I didn't ask any tomatoes. And I said, oh, perhaps it doesn't have tomatoes, or, you know. So she kind of left, and she angrily walked back. She had opened the bag, and she said, this isn't my bagel. And I said, oh, I'm sorry, ma'am. I'm gonna see if there's maybe another one. It was the last bagel, and she was very angry, and I tried to apologize to her, and she just looked at me and she said, it's okay, you're just a fucking idiot. And she threw the bagel on the counter and walked out. And I didn't even get to say anything. I didn't get to react to her calling me a fucking idiot. And so I saw her actually about a week ago, and I hadn't seen her after that. And she just kind of looked at me like she recognized me, but she didn't say anything. And that taught me that sometimes people are just having a bad day, and not to take things personal, especially when you're dealing with customers and rude customers. And yeah, so that's what I learned. Mostly just patience. And as Bill Gates said, your most unhappy customers are your greatest source of learning. Thank you.